Where do you want to jump? Do you want to choose?
I don't know. I don't know.
You're the guest.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You're the guest. I believe in you. I believe in you.
I always follow whoever I'm playing with, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Thank the bus driver. All right, we'll go here. Right, this is our fourth interview today.
Come on.
This week with David Sodimu, aka Sailor, aka Seller, however you want to pronounce it. No, you are. But yeah, tell us a bit about yourself.
Cool. Who am I? Just a normal guy. Firstly, I'm a solicitor, husband, a Christian. I don't know anything else on this one that I missed.
You're a voluntary youth worker.
I'm a voluntary youth worker.
That's quite a big thing. Yeah.
Church, yeah, of course. So yeah, no, in fact, I'm a youth leader. Yeah, man. I don't know. Have I missed anything else?
That's good, man. That's a good introduction, I think.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
yeah.
Get the blue. Blue.
Yeah,
It's all about that blue.
All the XP.
Level 7.
But yeah, man. No, honestly, yeah, that's me.
You're a solicitor. What kind of soliciting work do you do?
Yeah, so I specialise in property litigation. So
that is a mouthful.
I know. So I'll try and explain it so it makes sense. So basically, in the first place, I specialise in litigation. So litigation is the act of basically having a fight that's not quite to do with criminal law, but it's to do with something called civil law. So that's the idea of peer-to-peer arguments where money's involved, where damage to property's involved, that sort of thing, where I guess more or less the police aren't involved, but there's a dispute between two parties. So yeah, that's the kind of law stuff I do, but I do it specifically based on property.
Right.
So I guess a good example is if you have if a landlord has tenants, and there is a dispute about whether you want the tenants out and the tenants don't leave, or if the tenants haven't paid rent and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of my bag. So yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's something about you is that you've wanted to be a solicitor for a very long time. And for a very long time, you're 28?
Yeah.
So,
29 in September.
but you've been wanting to be a solicitor for years, ever since I've kind of known you anyway. When did this whole thing of wanting to be a solicitor, how early did you think I want to be a solicitor?
Do you know what? It's kind of, I always think it's kind of crazy that I used to want to be a solicitor early. I think it was maybe year 10 or year 11, around that time, and my parents are I'm from a Nigerian background, right? So my parents were heavy on saying, you need to think about what you want to do and what you want to be in this life, etc. And I'm always thankful for that. But yeah, they're very heavy on saying, I need to think about what I want to do, and they used to ask me what is it I want to do. Yeah. And I used to think about, just randomly think about it, and I had so many options. At that point, I wanted to be a businessman. For quite a while, I wanted to do that because I thought law would be too hard, hard enough. And yeah, at a point, I think between year 10 and year 11, I just went, no, actually, I think I want to be a lawyer because there was, frankly, I thought there was in money. So now we're trying to get the fees. So that was one of the initial thought process that I had anyway. Right. And then and I just went, and for me, it was a case of saying, okay, now that I've decided this is what I'm going to do, that's it. I'm not soliciting anymore. I can't choose anything else. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's how I thought about it in my head. Right. Whether or not I was right to think that way, but that was it. I was like, no, dude, I'm not doing anything else. That's it. I almost decided in my head that I'm almost not allowed to do anything else. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think with something like soliciting and law, it takes 4 years of uni to get to study, and not only that, but also relevant A levels and stuff. So you have to be you have to have been
interested in the actual subject. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, dead.
Oh wow. But yeah, no, I was interested. I definitely was interested. Generally, I wouldn't say certainly wasn't just the money.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the thought that, like, oh, do you know what, I could really help people. And actually, my initial interest. So obviously, I mentioned, you know, like I do property litigation, but my initial interest was to be in family law. I wanted to do family law. I wanted to like deal with stuff with family. That was like the initial thing I wanted, because I wanted to help, you know, different families, like in different type of situations, and things like that. And it's kind of like life just went. I kind of just fell into property law. I ended up being a paralegal at one stage. Well, I was a conveyancing paralegal, so that was basically like helping people buy and sell properties. Yeah. And doing that whole process for them. And then when I got my training contract, so when I got my training contract, it was the training contract was in property litigation and in planning law. So planning law is the idea of like essentially like where you are. How do I explain it really simply? Like the idea of building properties and getting permission to do that. I guess, or building buildings, you know, and having the permission to do that. You know, like building a fence. And having a permission from the council to do that, and that sort of thing. So getting involved in stuff like that. So that was what I trained in. And for my training contract. And basically, so a training contract, for anyone who doesn't know, is like the, how do you say, the kind of like an apprenticeship, if you like. Or like equivalent of some sort.
So that's on top of all the studying.
That's right. Yeah. So
the 4 years studying.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So there was that process. I know. So I mean, it was 3 years in my undergrad, so 3 years at university, and then 1 year doing my what was called LPC. So it's the legal practice course, and then finding a training contract. And finding a training contract is really hard. And it was hard. I mean, like I say, I was a paralegal for about a year and a half. Before I ended up getting the training contracts. And I remained at the firm where I got my training contracts. And I've been qualified for about 2.5 years. Because unfortunately I only had to do a year and a half of my training contract.
You were that good.
I wish. No. It was just basically like what happened was that my time as a paralegal, I was able to count it towards my training contract. So you're able to basically get like a discount on time, if you like. On the basis that I've done paralegal work before. So yeah, man.
So you mentioned like family law. Is that something you'd like to look into in the future as well, or is that kind of a past?
It is. I think it's a past. I think it's a past thought that I had, and I think like because I think what happened was that when the more I had experience and like experience in different areas of law, I just kind of realised, like, no, I realised the property law was for me. It was something I actually quite enjoyed. And two, like, things in the market just changed around family law. It became really difficult financially for it to be sustainable, really, I felt. That's what I saw anyway. And that's not necessarily true, by the way, but it just, for me, it felt like, there might not be as much like money. That was just an initial concern. But I think, as I say, you kind of just fall into where you fall into, and you're like, do you know what? This is working for me. I didn't think it would. I didn't necessarily have this all in mind. It's working for me. But yeah, from the get go, like I just had in mind, you know, I was gonna be a lawyer. That's what I was gonna do.
That's good, man. Because I mean, you said you got into like wanting to be a solicitor at year 10 and 11. Like, when I was in year 10 and 11, I wanted to be a rapper. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be a rapper. The year before, I wanted to be a boxer. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, and I think, like, even a lot of... Oh, someone's in a truck.
Oh, man. Oh, man. What a man.
He's gonna get murdered.
What have you got?
He's still alive, I think. I think he's still alive. Yeah, he's still alive. Oh, no, I'm down. Oh, this guy's good.
Got him. Killed him.
Heal me. Oh, no, that purple hunting rifle was floating away. Praying for me.
Oh, he's got some good weapons, you know.
I know.
Nice.
The purple...
He's got the scar. He's got the scar, you know that.
Let's get that purple hunting rifle. So, I like to think of you, actually, as... Like, because I think you are the actual real life Daredevil.
I'm dead.
Apart from a few subtleties of being blind, having like heightened senses and beating up people at night. But like, so your profession is a solicitor. Yeah. But you're a kind of what you do in your own time is youth work from a church.
Yeah.
So would you want to tell us more about that? Like what got you into that? Because you know, soliciting must be hard work. So what got you into it, and what drives you to, after a long day or week at work, to in your own time go and do that?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a nice question, bro.
Thank you. I'm a pro podcaster, you know.
Oh man. So like, firstly, obviously, like I said, like when oh my gosh, who's there? So becoming Christian obviously was like kind of just changed my life, innit, completely.
So is that a major drive of what you do?
That's a major drive. That's definitely a major drive. I became a Christian young, and like just going through life. I mean, we you know, I think you remember we had moments where we did youth together, and even when I was young, I was a leader at my local church, and so.
Oh, someone's in this house. Oh, there's a couple, you know. Oh crap! There's loads.
Oh no.
Oh, they're bots.
Oh, it's their decoys.
Oh yeah.
He's coming. All guys coming.
Oh crap! Scared. Oh. I'm gonna throw a grenade. Oh crap! Two. Got duos.
Oh what? What?
Sorry.
What guns have you got?
I killed one of them.
I'm low.
Got one.
I'm low.
You're low on health.
Yeah,
quick. Hold on. Oh, he's got a charged shotgun. Crap! The storm!
Oh yeah, mad.
Oh no! He got me! Dang it! Pick me up! Carry me! Come on! No!
And he shot me,
Yeah, sorry. The question was, lawyer by day, youth worker by night or weekend. So what made you do that? So your faith is a major driving factor for that. Yeah, but what makes you like, I'm gonna do this in my own time?
I think for me it was the effect that I know it had on me. So obviously in my, like, when I was young, when I became a Christian young, it was because there was youth. There was, do you know what I mean? There was like there was youth on Fridays, and we'd show up and go there, and like just having a community of like young people around me, and as well as some older people that I could look up to. It was like just vital. Do you know what I mean? It was so vital for me, and so for me, like now I'm like, okay, cool. It's all well and good, you know. I'm a lawyer and stuff, and that was kind of decent. For me, it was just like, but hold on, how can I not give to like youngers to me what I got? Do you know what I mean? And it's just, for me, I just know the effect. I know how important it is to have that, like, in your life, to have, you know, like, a community of young people who kind of like are kind of aspiring to the same thing as you, and also have like someone who you can look up to who's not like a loser, who's not like he's not just like annoying in the same way that you might view kind of parents, or you might view, you know, some other adults in your life who you don't have like a disconnect. Do you know what I mean? But having someone who does have a connection, who does care about you, who actually cares about your life, like, that's really important.
Yeah, and it's almost like loads of young people, I guess, the older people in their lives are often authority figures. So like teachers, parents, even like older siblings and stuff like that. Whereas I don't know. I haven't got a gun though, and this guy sounds like he has a gun. Oh, he's trying to break the. Oh crap, he's there. Oh, I'm gonna die.
Got him, killed him.
Oh, he's dead. Yes.
And I use a charge gun, you know.
Oh, see, I told you. You failed.
And get him in one shot.
Oh my god.
You just shoot him with a pistol, one shot.
That's where he was. Let's just hide in this one. Oh, he's there. Yes. Yes, I told you about the charge shotgun. I told you. But yeah, so like, I always find that youth workers, and I guess I am a bit biased because I am one. Yeah, you're not an authority figure in their life. And I think you kind of mentioned that was beneficial to you. Like, how did that help you in life? Like, having like a youth worker kind of just work with you.
I think, so I had like, during some younger years, I had someone who I guess was considered a mentor, and he was a pastor, funny enough. Who I just had as a mentor, and there was youth workers who were older, and it was just like, in terms of how it impacted me, it was kind of just like words they said, like bits of advice that they gave me, like, and I think the biggest thing, like honestly, the biggest thing about it was knowing that like someone, I guess other than your parents, who you saw and viewed in a different light, like cared about your life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like just cared, like that. Like it's so important, to be honest. You know, I never underrate how important it is for someone just to care about your life, and not in a way where they care like for their own benefit, just so they can assert authority over you. Because that was a feeling you got about school teachers. You know, you felt like, oh gosh, she's shooting. You felt like,
whoa, who's this? Oh, he's shooting through the floorboards, man.
People just wanted to, assert authority over you, and like that wasn't the case with people. Genuinely cared about who you were going to become in your life and what you were going to do in your life. So I think just that was like really important. Yeah, for me, it's just important that I can give that for other youngers, because it's not easy, kind of like not being distracted. At that age, and distracted in the sense where you just like, you don't think like, oh wow, life is gonna get real and you're gonna have big decisions to make like later on in life. So it's actually important that you're careful as to like what kind of path you choose for yourself. Do you know what I mean? So man.
No, because I think what you do, as you do, like you're a real hero when you do, because with so many youth services being cut and money being cut and youth workers losing their jobs and stuff, you're kind of going out of your way to kind of fill that gap, which I think is really good. And you already kind of have your life going. You know, you're a solicitor. You're a homeowner, which I didn't mention, but you're a homeowner. You're not. You're under 30 and you own your own home.
Husband
is a husband, of course. How could I forget? Yeah, man. All under 30.
Oi, easy.
Ah, what is? Oh no! Why am I using this gun?
Oh no.
Nah, bro. No, let me execute him, please. Nah, you failed, bro.
Oh man,
Yeah,
he killed me.
You're
He
dead.
killed me. I need some help. What's he got? Oh, someone else is coming.
Oh crap! Oh no, wrong gun! Wrong gun!
Oh man.
No! 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 Flipping heck.
Yes, nice one.
Oh my life,
Got a big
yes.
one.
Oh, it's only got one bullet though.
Storm's coming.
Oh, how? No,
Done. There's no way I'm surviving.
no, I haven't got a
There's
launch
no
pad
way
either.
I'm surviving.
Oh, David, you're on like one
man.
health. Oh.
Ah, dead.
Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm on 4,
way.
3, 2, 1.
Dead
Oh, so close.
Lock off.
In terms of young people and you know, working with young people, what kind of issues have you found yourself kind of facing, or what the young people are facing in today's culture, in that maybe wasn't there when kind of we were growing up?
Yeah,
What kind of things have you seen?
I think probably the biggest challenge that wasn't there before that is there is essentially social media. To be frank,
Yeah,
like and there's obviously I think every other issue like was there, but like I mean we had the issues, but I feel like they've just like become more enhanced kind of thing. So there was a pressure to look cool, like there was a pressure to look a certain way, to look appealing.
But that was
like,
only
that
consolidated to your school or your area.
Exactly. And then
now it's like a global thing.
Advanced. Yeah, and it's like so it's like you got like young youth like feeling like a need to like basically do and live in a way that like olders would. Do you know what I'm saying? Like people who are just much older should. So like the idea, the pressure of like doing kind of more adult things or appearing to be more of an adult kind of thing. Like they feel that a lot more than I feel like we felt that when we were younger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But even saying that, like when we were younger, we always we wanted to be like the oldest anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I feel that was kind of more in like what you saw on music videos on like MTV.
Exactly. Yeah. And whereas now they've got like Insta and
it's like a constant feed. And one thing I've realised is that there's a potential, because I guess if you said stupid things in like school or in the classroom or on the street or in your home or whatever, like you could get in trouble when people call you out on it, but it was just there. Like now,
yes,
it could destroy your entire life before it even begins.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the other thing, I guess, is like, you had, like, when we were younger, we had room to grow. And then now you have, obviously, cancel culture and stuff like that. But, like, cancel culture is there because you have, essentially, you have media. You have, like, you can record it. You know what I mean? Like, you can record the fact that you did X, Y, Z. Like, it wasn't, like, there wasn't that many instances where you recorded stuff back in the school days. So, like, you could have done a madness, you know, at like a young age, and then like years later just think, okay, that was stupid, but I can move on with my life. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, I've changed, I'm different, and cool, you can move on your life in peace. But like, I don't think they're getting that luxury anymore. Do you know what I mean?
No, I like that. I like especially that what you said, that we had room to learn and grow. Whereas now, if you mess up, that could be it for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a scary bit. Yeah, that's certainly scary. Because the problem is like you still. I think people forget. It's like, you know, you're still dealing with youths who still don't completely understand the implications of everything they do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can say it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
To them and say, oh, this is going to cause this and this is going to cause that. You know, don't do this because it's caused that. But there's still the temptation to think, oh, let me try it and see what actually happens. Not actually know that, oh, crap, this is actually what. You know what I mean? This is actually what it looks like, this is actually what's going to happen. These are the consequences I'm actually going to face. Like, I think, you know, there's a sense in which you just don't feel, I guess when you're young, you feel almost like an invincibility.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To some degree, like you feel like, well, there's no way like anything is actually gonna happen. I guess people are just saying it just to make sure, or to keep me like under wraps. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like cancel culture? Because it is a very big thing. I mean, literally in the past, week, 2 weeks, like Wiley's been cancelled. Who else has been cancelled recently? Oh, my mind. You know when like loads of people have been cancelled and your mind's just gone blank and you can't think of anything. And I guess in a lot of cases, like you could justify, like, no, you don't deserve that platform. What you said, but in terms of that kind of like, what are your thoughts on the whole? Oh crap! No! Oh, my shield! I keep doing that, man. It's flipping stupid.
I think it's extremely toxic. I think is my first go-to in what I'd say about it. However, I think like, and I'm not gonna, and I'm saying toxic because that I think that is the overriding problem and the overriding trait about cancel culture. Although that's not me saying everything about it is terrible, because I think the idea or the sentiment behind it, I guess, first and foremost, is to say, let's hold this person accountable for what they've done.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Like, I think in the general debate of cancel culture, like you either have to be, you take that, shield. You either have to completely agree with it or be completely against it. And I think that's a thing in a lot of things in society which we could talk about for ages. Of you have to be 100% for something or 100% disagree with something, and that's it. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I think there's a sense in which, like, the idea behind it, I guess, first and foremost, or firstly, I guess, must be for people to say, let's hold this person accountable for what they've done. Done something that's wrong and horrible, and like they should be called out for it, which is cool, and I think is really important, and it's something that like maybe we didn't have as much before. I certainly didn't have it as much, so to have that now, to feel like there's this sense of justice that we can kind of achieve even outside of the law kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's really important. It's really important for people, especially people who are affected by particular acts that are like that people get cancelled for. So that's really important. But then, like I say, it's then the next stage. It's the next stage of saying, okay, person apologizes, and not just apologizes, but apologizes and turns away from what they were doing and actually starts to try and reconcile, with people, tries to rectify everything that they did wrong. And it's the idea that we then say, no, you don't get to rectify what you did wrong at all, because we've decided we are not allowing you at all in any form whatsoever to come back from this. Do you know what I mean? And it's that heart that is like, that's just nasty, to be honest. It's toxic, and like I understand why people go there and why people jump to feed in that way, but like ultimately, I think the other problem with it is that it basically just like forgets the fact that you are like a couple days away from needing mercy, from needing someone to allow you. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes the position of saying, oh yeah, I'm never going to do anything wrong. Like, I'm never going to do anything that bad, and then that in itself is a problem, because we're now like basically, putting a little trying to put a marker on what's bad or what's not, or how bad something is. Is this bad enough to get cancelled for or not? Do you know what I mean? And the people who literally we talking that way now. Saying, oh, you can get cancelled for that, but you might not get cancelled for this. Kind of thing. You know what I mean? So man, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of it.
it's kind of, yeah, with cancel culture, it's almost like I think there is a place of holding people accountable, as you say.
Oh, what?
Whoa!
What? They are cold. Oh my god, they just came out of hiding.
You're supposed to be like low levels, man. What the heck?
What the heck?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I didn't
the car and ran. Oh, flipping heck.
That man said.
Flipping stormtrooper as well. I mean, and I think it's important to hold people accountable to an extent, to remove people from platforms, because at the end of the day, if you have a job or something, you know, you'll lose your job if you say something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but then there's in terms of the public and social media, it's like people want to see an execution rather than a reformation.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like this whole that I've seen like a justice aspect of, no, this guy needs to be taken in front of everyone and hung until dead. So you know, they've done an unforgivable thing, which they will never come back from. So it is almost like a public execution rather than I'll put you in prison for doing this so you can't be in society, but there is a possibility of you being reformed and coming back to society.
That's right.
I'm not saying people who get cancelled on social media should go to prison, but it's that kind of hypothetical, not hypothetical, metaphorical, allegorical kind of thing of, people. And I think when people are angry, you do want blood. Do you know what I mean? And I think in a lot of cases, you're kind of right to think that. To be so angry at what someone has said and done, to be kind of just seeing red. But then I guess once the smoke clears a bit, you're kind of like, actually, it doesn't, like, revenge and avenging doesn't actually do good. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I guess from a Christian perspective, you know, we think, yes, people sin and people do wrong. And they should be held accountable for that, but there's also a thing of kind of change and regeneration and that kind of thing.
Because ultimately, if what we want is a better world in terms of we want better people, we want things that are wrong to be.
I have no idea why we learned this.
Rectified.
Carry on.
Yeah, I was thinking what? Like,
I'm getting involved in the conversation. I'm not really thinking.
Like ultimately, we want people change. We want if we want a better world, then we have to, like, I guess a big part of it is like the idea of original sin. Do you know what I mean? The idea that like everyone is inherently messed up, you know, to some degree or another. And so it's understanding and saying, okay, so we need to rectify that. Or we're looking to rectify that. And I guess for the Christian, it's kind of like your compass for how you rectify that comes from Jesus first and foremost, and then you're trying to like basically input that into the world. Do you know what I mean? Like affect those changes. But if that's what we want, then like man, unfortunately we have to start off with saying, yo, everyone's a mess, and like that means everyone's gonna do messy things. And so they should be given a chance to change and stop those messy things. Otherwise it'll be you next. You know what I mean?
And I even think, like, as a youth worker, like, I don't know how you can be a youth worker and kind of fully be on the cancel culture bandwagon, because
definitely.
Because young people mess up all the time. Do you know what I mean? They say stupid things, they make stupid decisions, and I say that as a former young person, which everyone was. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do this, and if you were to be cancelled for every mistake you made, granted that people make far worse mistakes than others that affect other people's lives, but like, you know, I think there has to be made room for learning. While there has to be like a balance of accountability, justice, but also change and reformation and learning and stuff like that.
Man.
So I think what was it? Back to social media. So we've kind of mentioned like cancel culture being kind of I wouldn't say like a fully thing of social media, but it's like the majority of cancel culture is involved in social media. But in terms of young people on social media, what other kind of effects do you think social media has on young people today that you've seen?
I think appearance is obviously a massive thing. Like the expectation for appearance. It's like, yeah, like now, like, oh yeah, that's another mad thing that like is kind of crazy now. It's like everyone, it was accepted and it was okay, like for everyone to be kind of broke. In the sense that, like,
I haven't seen this.
Broke, like, I mean,
I want to follow these people.
Like, but it was like when we were young. When it was young, I don't mean now. I'm not saying now it's accepted. I mean now it's less accepted.
Right.
To be broke as a young person.
Right. Okay. Right. I get you. Yeah.
But what I mean was that back in the day, it was okay. Like it was in a sense that like, do you know what? I haven't got these credits because my mom's not buying it for me.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, cool. Like everyone else kind of understood that. Do you know what I mean? For the most part, I mean, I'm a working class background, so that was like kind of my experience. But like, yeah, so everyone kind of just understood that and was like, it was okay. It wasn't like a mad thing. I think now, like, I feel like there's a bit of an increased pressure to some extent. Like, you know, because kids kind of see what like, you know, like rappers are kind of wearing now and on Instagram. So like there's this pressure like, oh, you can't get nothing fake. Do you know what I'm saying? And so kids will like do whatever to make sure they get the real stuff. Whereas back in the day, like bare people used to like, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone would like pretend like, oh, they got 110s like that were real.
I got 110s, they're at home.
I mean, or like people would rock the 110s and and like they were clearly from like some market somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like they were clearly fake. And it was in a sense that obviously everyone would obviously say, yeah, they're real, but like it wasn't like you were getting exposed for it not being real. Whereas like in today's world now, you could get exposed on Instagram. There's Instagram pages literally like fishing out whether you got fake crepes, whether you got fake designer clothes and stuff like that. And so like that pressure is so intense.
Do you think that affects young people's like mental health and how they see themselves? And...
definitely.
Oh, what is this?
Oh, mad. Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, I see him. Oh, his friend is there. No, I'm down.
They killed you.
I got killed by a Zen master.
Is he gonna shake you down?
I don't know. I'm trying to. Oh no, he executes me. Free man. In this interview, go on, son. There's his friend. His friends around. His friends.
Where's his friend?
Storm! Oh, he's gonna die anyway. Go on, die.
There, he got me.
Oh, he's got a launch pad? How is he?
Oh, wow. Mad, you made it out.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, man, there's just mad pressure. So I feel like you need to have the real, the best like designer clothing now. I think it's increased, but like I say, it was always there. We had it as well a little bit, but it just feels like it's intensified now.
How do you feel like we can counter that as people who work with like young people? Because I mean, there is a challenge to counter that. How do you feel like we can be like the antithesis almost to social media? And I'm not saying like, I guess like I don't believe all social media is bad. I think the actual facts of the social elements of social media and staying in touch with friends and stuff, and also for like in terms of business or if you run a charity and stuff, it can be really useful. And even to like promote good stuff on social media and well-being, like you can follow loads of like positive quote accounts and fill your feed up with like positive things. But unfortunately, people tend to follow the most popular thing, which doesn't tend to be positive. Do you know what I mean? So how do you think we could like counter all of that for young? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that's difficult. I think it's difficult, but like the biggest thing is consistency. So by that I mean like it's the idea that like having someone who you can look up to and you can say, yeah, I like how I like how they live, and not just in the sense of they have loads of money, but like what they're about, like who they are. I like that. I like that. Like they're not looking over their shoulder all the time. This person, do you know what I mean? And it's for them. I think it's kind of just knowing that consistently you can see someone live like that right in front of you.
Yeah.
And that person also cares about your life as well.
Yeah.
And so like it's like an exchange, or like what they're getting a look into your life, and you're constantly getting a look into theirs. Like I think that's just, I think it's more important than almost anything really. In the sense that like, yeah, you can, the moment people can see that, and young people can like, actually feel that, like, wow, yeah, this guy, like, you know, he teaches and stuff, but like, he's really cool, he's really calm. I see the way he lives, like, I see him get angry at people and he still controls his mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see him not accept things. I see him tell people off, like, or speak to people who he doesn't like things about, and he's honest with them, and he's straight up, doesn't hide things. Do you know what I mean? Just knowing like they can see that, I think that holds weight. I think that holds weight in the long run.
It's almost like positive role models.
Yeah, big
that
time.
are close by, like exactly. Close by in terms of not like, they're in their lives. Exactly. And they can see that. Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like saying, I don't think there is any like short answer to fixing the desire to want to be like popular. Do you know what I mean? Like that, I think that will just be there all the time. But I think we can counteract that certainly by run. Why? Flipping marauders.
Oh, it's them guys.
Where are they?
Oh, mad.
Flipping music. I hate them so much.
I can hear the music.
What are they coming from though? Oh crap, they're here. Run.
Steps.
Quick, get in the boat, get in the boat. I forgot how to drive. No! Oh my gosh! What is going on? I'm gonna throw a shark as well. Are you crazy?
Yeah, the shark is on to me.
Why?
Yo, this is my move.
Right, I killed the shark.
Action,
no, crawl over.
Oh, they are onto you.
I know.
They're right next to you. I should be hiding.
Right, that's one down.
Oh man, I'm definitely dead.
Come on, die, man. No.
Oh, these guys are crazy.
Oh, flipping marauders, man. I hate you so much. I'm out of bullets. I'm out of flipping bullets. Oh, what? No. That's another down.
That is it. Oh my
No,
god.
no, I'm out of bullets. Oh my life. Oh my gosh.
You might need to come and get it from me. My bullets are gonna come out from me in a minute.
Oh, hold on. I got one left.
All my weapons are gonna spit out in a minute.
No. Positive role models. Positive role models. That's where we were.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, man. Honestly.
So do you think like a consistent, and not even just a youth worker, but just like a positive, person in life? The thing I kind of think of, and it might be a bad example, but it's not a bad example. So you know, Into the Spider-Verse. So Miles' uncle Aaron. Now, apart from being a supervillain at night, like ignore that part. But like,
that's funny. I totally forgot that. Yeah.
So apart from it, forget the supervillain at night, but that kind of person, he can go because he feels like he can't talk to his dad. But he's like someone he can go to who kind of gets him, who can still, but he has the respect to kind of tell Miles, well, actually, you're kind of moving a bit mad there. Like there's a respect there, but also to be on that level as well. That's always the thing I think of Uncle Aaron from from Spiderman.
It's funny because that was the villain the whole time.
Without, forget the villain part. Forget the villain part.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Too late now. Too late now. Oh well.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So moving on, kind of linked to social media and stuff. Also back to your kind of soliciting work. Now you wanted to be a solicitor from like year 10 and 11.
Yeah.
And I kind of said like, well, when I was in year 10, 11, I kind of wanted to be a rapper and stuff like that. But I see a lot of that, like when talking to a lot of young people, not all young people, because not all young people are the same, but I get the general vibe of when I ask young people of that age, younger or even older, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be? It can be like, I want to be a famous rapper, or I want to be a famous footballer or sportsman, or the new trend, like I want to be a famous YouTuber. And I don't think there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be those things. But I sometimes feel like that can be the only option given by society, especially with a lot of young people who I work with who kind of fail at school, or they get kicked out of school and something. It's like, well, these are my only tickets. I either become a famous rapper or a famous YouTuber or a famous sports player, footballer, or I'm gonna be a roadman. Like, those are my only options. Do you know what I mean? Because the academic world has rejected me. What do you think, like, about that kind of?
I think with that, I think one of the problems there that, in terms of like why that happens so much and why people feel like the only option is like it's being the main celebrity star, as it were, in whatever it is, whether that's like football, rapping, YouTubing or whatever, is I think there's a bit of an underrepresentation of the background work, or people who do the background work, and how important that is. I think there's like
what do you mean by that, the background work?
So I think when I say that, I mean like the guy who does the video edits. Right. I mean the guy who puts together the contract for the footballers. I mean the lawyer. I mean the manager who like manages, you know, the music like the guy who does the music. You know, like those roles like are underrepresented.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not seen as like oh wow, there's a real like it's really like a glamorous role or like an important role. It's not seen in that way. It's seen like, oh, I have to be the face of it as such. You know what I mean? I think we need to like, I think that needs to be changed in terms of like saying actually like it's really important for people who are doing YouTube to have management of some sort, because you need a PR manager ultimately. You know, in that kind of field, saying for a footballer. And you need someone who's going to look at your contracts for you. So someone needs to be academic, otherwise the people who do all those roles, it's almost impossible to do it all by yourself. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like people need to understand that all these roles you see on, like, you know, being the face of everything, like they're not done by magic, they're not done by themselves. Like, there's people working really hard in the background to make it like come to fruition. And like, I think it's kind of just like that being represented. That actually, these roles are just as important.
But do you think that's kind of like built into our culture? Because I mean, a great example would be movies. So if you look at a movie poster, you'll see directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and stuff like that. But at the end of the movie, when the end credits, like, you've got 10 minutes of credits, and like that's 10 minutes of names, and that's not even like one name per slide, that's like dozens of names a second, and it goes on for like 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? But you only see or hear the people who get the main credit are Martin Scorsese, or even like Steven Spielberg, or do you know what I mean, or Jordan Peele, or but you forget like there's lighting specialists and cinematographers and camera operators and video editors and special effects artists and concept artists and etc. 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 Yeah, so do you think that's kind of just cemented itself in culture? Because you don't like see a trailer and say from the same cameraman as do you know what I mean? There is a massive build on names and visibility. I mean, would you say that has a large part to play in that, and that's kind of dripped down to young people in a negative way?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I would say 100% agree. Like, I think that's the issue. I think like it's just kind of, I mean, to an extent, it's kind of like, I guess we have to do the work of saying to young people, okay, fine, like this is what it looks like, or it appears, you know, to be from the outside, that actually, you know, those roles are really redundant. But that's not actually true. Those roles, they're not redundant. Like, they're actually really important.
Yeah.
So it's like things like you know, being a dietitian and stuff like that, and thinking, you know, like, yo, you can make a lot of pee from being a dietitian. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like Kevin Hart, who's a huge comedian, etc. Like, he has a trainer. I forget his name, like, but he has this trainer who does all these, like, helps him do his training. He literally does physical training. Do you know what I mean? Every day. And it's like, roles like that aren't glamorized enough. And like you say, like, I think that's just the way culture has been, like, inbuilt to look like. And I think almost perhaps culture kind of needs it to stay that way, to some extent, because you do need, like, the way the world works, I guess you do need someone to have the limelight and someone to do the background.
You need a face.
You need a face. You need a focus. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how things are. Like, and it's, I mean, I guess the way to think about it is think about that. Was it the second? No, it was the third Iron Man, where you had what's his name?
The Mandarin.
The third Iron Man. The Mandarin.
The Mandarin.
And, like, the idea was like, and obviously at the end of it was like, actually, he wasn't really the villain. He was just an actor that was distracting, like, you know what I mean, like, from the real work, and partly, like, you know, that's just what life is like. I think there is an extent to which, like,
but that's interesting, because I think that's a great example with Iron Man, because I think a lot, like, you know, famous rappers' names, you know, famous singers' names, you know, famous, but we don't tend to know the CEOs behind them. Like, not the CEOs, but like the people who run the labels. Like, tell me who runs, like, Island Recordings off the top of your head.
Oh yeah, Matt. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll know. But I guess that's the kind of the idea. Like, but in terms of like a personal level, on a kind of a personal drive level, I always kind of see it as like a desire to be remembered, or a desire to be in the history books or legacy. The best thing I think is I kind of think of it like the Achilles effect. So like Achilles, who just, like, he wanted to be the most famous warrior ever, and he got in such a rage that he just died. He ended up dying for it. Do you know what I mean? He wanted to be remembered so bad that it led to the detriment and deaths of people around him and all sorts. But there's this constant desire, and it's kind of like an all or nothing mentality. I either be this or I be nothing.
There's nothing. Do you
know what I mean?
And it's like that's 100% a big thing as well. Like, this idea that, like, we're not satisfied with what seems to be mundane. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, being a doctor seems like a mundane kind of job. Or, like, do you know what I mean? Like, being a lawyer seems like a mundane kind of role. And firstly, they're not. Firstly, they're definitely not far from mundane. But, like, people miss the point of, like, saying these are important roles. Like, they fulfill a really important role. Like, you're ultimately you're making something happen when you do these roles. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why they're really important. Is because you're making things happen, and you know, for other people. But, like, you're a big part of that. Do you know what I mean? Or you get to be a big part of that. And so, like, I think there should be a big encouragement for journey for youth to feel like, actually, yeah, I can feel satisfaction in doing that role. Like, that is respectable in doing roles which, like, you know, aren't at the forefront of everything. Stuff.
Yeah, but I think it also builds into that whole thing of, I guess, social media culture and to be seen. So, like, you're not really going to follow someone on Instagram, or you might do if you're into that, who's like a doctor. And I use doctor because, like, doctor is like, do you know what I mean? Like, and then post them like, oh, going to work today. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, there's that kind of, well, unless you're gonna show me photos of things in the medical. What was that?
Yeah, I was thinking, wow.
So unless you're gonna show me pictures of the operating room, or teachers, like following teachers, just like, oh, another day. It's not kind of a quick stand still. There you go. Okay. There's almost like not a catch-22, like a pull or a tension of, I know what will make me happy and fulfilled, but if I'm not seen doing it, I don't feel fulfilled. Yeah. Like, what do you think about that kind of? Because even I get that sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I get that effect where it's just like, well, why am I only getting this amount of likes when someone who posted a picture of their foot is getting like thousands of likes? Do you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, and sometimes you can fall into the trap of kind of wanted that to get more likes, and you kind of take it personally as well. Like, kind of like, why people? Exactly.
I think. Do you know what I think about that? I think it's the issue is always the expectation. So, like, I think it's the fact that we expect, we forget basically, or we expect that, oh, you know, the fact that you're seeing like people who are at the forefront have like this many likes from you know, posting up their foot. You expect that, oh, that means I can just do that. And it's like, or the expectation, the thought behind it is that we think, oh, it was really easy for them. Look at how easy it is. You know, they just have. Yeah.
Like, do you want some bandages, by the way?
All that stuff.
After
yes, please. Yeah, I know. That was a bit reckless still. So I think we think like what people do to get the attention or to keep the attention is really easy. Yeah. So we kind of think, oh, we can, like everyone should have that. That is like, you know, it means you're doing something right if you do that. And we don't, like, I think we don't understand that actually, like, it can very quickly turn around where people actually suddenly don't care. And so those people, like, are actually, those people who you see at the forefront do a very, very, very difficult job to stay there. Do you know what I mean? Or to stay in the attention of people. And it's also the fact that we don't appreciate the fact that ultimately nobody cares. I mean, let's put it frankly, like, nobody really cares. And when I say nobody really cares, I mean, like, they don't, you know, the fact that you're famous, like, and stuff like that, most people don't care. We don't care that you're really famous. I mean, we care because you're famous, but we don't actually care about you like that. Do you know what I'm saying? And so the moment you're not famous,
you're one bad tweet away from being cancelled.
Yeah, you're one bad tweet away from being cancelled, and you're one bad like tweet, or you're a couple like you know, a couple years without an album, without a good album, like away from just no one's going to listen to you anymore. Like, no one cares, no matter what you do next. Do you know what I mean? So it's really difficult. So I think
Kendrick, we're talking about you. There's only so much we can hold on for.
There's only so much. Like, there's only so long you can just go without albums, and then we'll just go, okay, like we actually don't care. Which is why you have to respect people like Drake. You know, extremely, like, you do have to respect, because and he also understands how fickle. Oh wow, someone there. Someone behind me, I think. Someone behind me. Oh, someone's there.
Oh my god.
Got her.
Oh, flipping it. Look at all this loot.
The fact that people, can be so close to just not being cared about. it's why when you get that in perspective, when you have that perspective, it kind of helps you release the burden off you, because you're like, you realize like, if I just keep trying to like, keep people happy, it's not going to work either way, because it doesn't work for the famous people, it doesn't work for the biggest people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so rarely, even for footballers, etc. You know what I mean? Like you think about like the span of their career, like they could have one cold season, but like a couple more seasons, a couple more games that were off. That's it. You know, like, you know, a couple bad games, you're getting released. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's understanding that those roles are like are more difficult than what they seem. I think in you know.
Someone's moving around. Yeah, and I think like even for me, like I will just stop listening to people, or just stop paying attention to people. Not because I don't like them, but just because I just forget. Or do you know what I mean? Like I'm nothing against them, but oh man, there's only 3 people left, which means
they're going to be coming soon.
And the shield, we're just outside of the wall. Oh my gosh! Careful, his friend. His friends. Oh my gosh! He had a
Got him. Oh, nice. He's got good loot,
bro. Oh, the storm. We got to move. Oh no! The guy's right outside. He was waiting for us. He was waiting for us. Where is he? Oh, I'm down. No! Quick! Oh, he can build. He can build. He can flipping. He's cold. He's cold. Who are these? They probably made brand new accounts to level up more. So, kind of youth work, I guess, from a voluntary perspective. Like, how have you found the whole lockdown thing? Staying in contact with the young people you usually work with. Like, how have you found that, and what have you done to kind of engage them? And
the good thing, well, I think what we were doing was basically we've been meeting every Sunday, so obviously like kind of catching up after the church service and stuff like that. So yeah, like that's kind of how we've been keeping up. But like we've been, I mean, the good thing is I play Fortnite with a couple of them as well. And some others I kind of randomly just pop up and chat to them and just say hi, how they doing, do you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's been good in that sense. We played a couple games. Yeah, no, it's been good. I think that's how we kind of just kept in contact, to be honest. Kind of been difficult, I guess, with the circumstances. But like the youth have been really cool. They've been on it in terms of meeting up on Zoom, and it's been good just speaking. I think we're actually currently talking about anthropology, so they're quite serious.
Of what? Sorry.
Anthropology, so Christian anthropology. So the idea of like just personalities, who we are as people. Do you know what I mean? I think because I think there's been a massive like gap in that respect, where like it's not really spoken about. People aren't. We don't really talk about the idea that, oh, you know what, I'm actually really quiet, and so I act in this way when there's too many people around. Do you know what I mean? Or you don't talk about the fact that actually I'm really loud, and so I love engagement, and so I always feel like I have to talk, I have to keep talking. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of having different personality traits and understanding how that affects how we treat each other, how we like how we react to each other, and how the best like make our friendships function better. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we suffered from that in our generation a little bit, from not like completely understanding that or talking about that, and so
and I think that's been really helpful, because like things that I've learned now in my job of like young people's mental health and stuff, and like I look back at when I was growing up and I thought, oh, actually I had that. Do you know what I mean? But there was, like you said, there was no actual proper support, or it was just kind of like, well, that's just your. It was a character thing. Do you know what I mean? It was and it was seen that it was well. And I think one of the problems was like it was. I don't think we did enough appreciating or enough like celebrating our character. Like, so it was kind of like, oh well.
you know, you're like this. You need to stop being like this. You know, this is really bad. Like that you're, you know, this way inclined or this kind of a character. Even though it wasn't inherently bad. It was just like, it just wasn't necessarily what everybody's cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, that is like really, something that I think they can actually from an early age say, do you know what, I'm like this, and I thank God that I'm like this. I'm really happy that I'm like this. But obviously there's some sense in which you can, you know, you want to keep improving, you want to keep being a better person. So where you have certain character traits that can lend themselves to making you like, you know, either perhaps selfish or that kind of thing, then it's really important to think about, okay, how can I be less selfish and there are some traits which aren't inherently bad. You know what I mean? They're not inherently bad, they're just you. But the world has this idea of like, oh, but it would be really cool if you could be more like this. Do you know what I mean? And kind of say, no, actually, that's not what I'm like. You know, like, you know, people think like being a public speaker is like, oh, that's what everybody really needs to try and make yourself.
That's what you should aspire to do.
Yeah, that's what you should aspire to be. Like, nah. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, I'm really good with writing, and that's like nothing, etc. And so, so it's kind of like, I think, hopefully, I think most young people now have the opportunity to kind of better focus on like their strengths rather than trying to just be the jack of all trades.
Definitely. And it kind of eliminates that whole thing of like, well, these are the attributes that society sees as beneficial, but but you're not benefiting the like that young person could grow up to be the first of something. Oh, behind! His friend's probably not far off. He could grow up to be the next new something, but you've prevented him from being that because he wasn't what you deem as normal. Not normal. That's that. But you know what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean? Like you're, and I feel like it's kind of sad actually to think we could be stopping so much of humanity's progress just because, well, that idea isn't what people do. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's like a thing of human history, innit? Anyone who's tried to do something new has been shot down for it, and it's only those people who have the strongest willpower to keep going regardless of that have changed the course of human history, which is a shame. And I think even, to be honest, even in like church settings, like I think every generation every generation has fought with tradition. Do you know what I mean? And even today, like the whole kind of exposure of even like racism and systemic racism in church, but because it's always been there, people have been like, well, this is just how things are, and not in a way like of there's like a defense thing of, it's not like, well, there is systematic racism in the church, but I kind of like it how it is and I don't want it to change. It's not quite like that. It's more like no, it doesn't exist, it can't exist, because that's impossible. How could it exist? But then you look at the history of the church, and so much has existed in the church that has gone unchecked in church culture and stuff like that. Racism in the church. Let's talk about it in today's what's been brought to light with kind of the whole George Floyd thing. And it has, to be honest, it's been brought to light before numerous times. But I feel like there's almost something new about this one. Like I almost feel like since the whole George Floyd thing, because Black Lives Matter has been around for years, and there was like it's had numerous things of ups and downs. But this time round, it feels different. Like it feels like people are actually listening. And by people, I mean just like white people. I feel like they're listening more. Do you know what I mean? And kind of taking notice. And obviously, you still have the debates. You still have the same kind of debates of, well, I don't think systematic racism even exists, and yada yada yada. More people seem to be less sitting on the fence, or not sitting on the fence, because I feel like people who didn't think racism was still an issue years ago just didn't really talk about it, and they might have believed that it didn't exist, but they just didn't really talk about it. Whereas now, you have people drawing lines in the sand of like, no, it exists. Oh no, it doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? So we're not really gonna, because I think we both agree that systemic racism does exist. So you ain't gonna find that debate here. But from that perspective, I guess from a church, in the church, racism in the church. And I can't really talk from experience because I am white. But as someone who's black in a denomination that is mostly white, like, what have your experience been of that? Yeah.
Oh man, mad.
I know that's quite a big question.
Big question. It's funny because, so it's like, obviously I go to an Egan church, and like I guess in terms of the denomination, it's Pentecostal, and it's funny because like more people started
Where is this man?
So, hold on. Okay.
No! One guy left. Oh, he's got decoys. He's got loads of decoys.
That's me. That's my decoys.
You. Oh, there's one guy left, man.
He's shooting, he's sniping me. Yeah.
Hey, finally!
Nice. Yes,
I told you.
Come on. But I think, like, in one sense, my experience has been one of blindness, basically. So this, like, a big part of my experience has been this rhetoric that's constantly been run of, you know, it doesn't matter, and you know, I don't even see, we don't even care about colour. You could be black, white, yellow, purple, you know, colours that don't even exist, green or whatever. Like,
it's always odd, isn't it?
It's always weird. Like, they don't even exist.
They always throw in a few colours that no one is.
No one is. It's like, what the heck? So yeah, man. But like, so it's been that kind of rhetoric for a long time. Like a lot of that kind of you know, identity. And I guess the heart behind it is thinking like, oh, you know, there's no separation, you know, because we're in Christ, and we're all one in Christ. We're all one in Christ, so you know, like, there's no separation whatsoever. And I think the real problem with that is that, sadly, that statement in itself is seeped in some racism. Probably more so not so much racism, but more so white privilege. So it's the idea that, I don't even have to worry about race. You know, why should you? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of like a big part of the heart behind it. It's like, I don't have to worry about race. Why are you worrying about it? And the big issue is that people not understand that actually don't have the luxury. Nice. So it's been like the idea that you don't even have to worry about race. Of course, like, it's not affecting you in the outside world. Do you know what I'm saying? Or even in the church, even within the church, with like stereotypes and with like, you know, just lack of thought. And I think the other sense in which I've experienced racism is like what has been sometimes a demonization of black culture in the church. So it's kind of like, you know, like a big association, for example, a big example is the massive association that, you know, that is had with black churches and black shouting, for example. In a preach, for example, do you know what I'm saying? Or like being loud in body, or being a bit more expressive and louder in the style of worship and stuff. And like, and almost like there has sometimes been a demonization, or in some parts anyway, there's been like a demonization of that culture as not being quite spiritual enough, or not being quite accurately sound. Do you know what I mean? Or really godly kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a bit of a rhetoric that is kind of quietly gone unchecked. Right?
Yeah, and I think what I found interesting was someone's on a car. Was James White, the famous president, was just, I think he was arguing on Twitter with Eric Mason. And he was kind of like saying, well, what do black or people of color theologians, they don't really have anything to add that white theologians have already said. Although he said it in a idiot way, that is what a lot of people think.
Honestly, like, that's the thing, Oh snap! Them, I still don't have a gun, bro.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Flip it! Die! Oh my gosh, I'm out. I've got a hunting rifle. Yes, I got him with a hunting rifle. No, I got hit by a car. Flip me neck, man. Quick, there's his friend. Have you got a gun? Oh, you ain't got a gun.
Nah.
Run. Forget about me, man. Forget me. Just run. Yeah, drive away. I forgive you.
Man, they're gonna catch me.
That's
Get
fine.
out of it.
Oh, they're coming for you, bro. I want to hurry up and die because I want to watch this. They're chasing you, you know. Even though what James White said was extreme, but I feel like it's what a lot of people in the Western Church think anyway.
Rightly think, exactly.
Like we have theologians like John Piper and all these other guys and stuff. Why do we need to start reading black theologians or people of color theologians and stuff? Like, because what's been said has already been said. And do you know what I mean? There's like this kind of there's a kind of a strong, because even like I studied theology for like 3 years, and I rarely ever encountered any theologians who weren't white in my reading. When there's loads. You know, fully realized academic PhD theologians who've written numerous books and studies on things that have never been studied before. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's almost like a racism in Christian academia of kind of ignoring those voices.
Definitely.
Yeah, what do you think about all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is like, I mean, obviously historically, you know, we have to remember that there was a period in time where black people weren't even allowed to go to seminary. Do you know what I mean? They weren't allowed to go to seminary, and so and the problem is like, what? Oh gosh!
Come on, man, you're doing well. And even like not even that, it was like maybe what year are we in? 2020. So like 60, 70 years ago, churches were segregated. Like that's in people's lifetimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you mean that wasn't hundreds of years ago? That was literally people who are alive remember being in church segregated.
But yeah, man, no, that's kind of mad. In terms of the fact that we've had that segregation for years. And I think the problem is like there hasn't really been much of an effort, if we're being honest. There's never been much of an effort to bridge that gap. Like people just kind of, I think we got to a stage where, you know, we had government guidance and people all of a sudden became woke to the fact that, okay, racism is bad. Oh, fair enough. Okay, but then what we didn't do was say, hold on, we've left a massive, you know, gap, or in fact not even a gap, we've left a massive wreckage because of racism. And we should be looking to try and fix that. And I don't think there's been enough of an effort to do that. To actually say, you know, we actually left people in a real mess because of you know, what's happened, and actually we should like look to try and rectify that. Because I guess it's not enough to kind of just go, oh yeah, you know what, like, oh my bad, I killed your family and stuff like that. I'm using an attitude. It's like, you know, oh my bad, I killed your family. yeah, sorry, you know,
Yeah,
and leave it at that, and just kind of just like say, oh, can we kind of move on? You know what I'm saying? That ideology is kind of there. Not understanding that. Still.
Man, you got flanked.
Whoa, man, they had me. Oh, yeah. So there's not been much of an effort to rectify that. I think that's where the problem started. It's just that, as I say, that one, we had a different style, and I've listened to like Joe Solomon. He does a podcast, and he had a podcast. For black people, we had this theology of suffering. For ages, like we were, because we experienced and understood God and learned about God through suffering. Whereas what you find, I mean, historically, if you look back historically, in terms of books, in terms of emphasis in preaching, in terms of songwriting, you'll find like a lot of black people speak about the theology of suffering in a very strong way and emphasize it much more, whereas like a lot of more white people were based more in talking about how big God is, all the sovereignty of God, and that kind of thing, and in that sense, how good God is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not. It wasn't the feeling of worshiping God through the suffering. Do you know what I'm saying? Like where you have songs like "Wade in the Water." Do you know what I'm saying? Those are steeped in like having a theology of suffering. And
absolutely,
so,
like,
that's
almost like the spirituals, like that kind of.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Almost like, I mean, there are kind of differences, but I think black theology can be quite similar to liberation theology, and I know liberation theology is more kind of South American in terms of the oppression of South Americans by their government regimes and stuff. And that's really interesting because, I mean, as you said, like, thinking about it, a lot of the white theologians, they're not a lot of books are written about suffering. It is kind of, actually, you know, it's interesting. A lot of white theologians kind of, I've noticed, talk about the dangers of prosperity. Heavily, and even that, go on. Yeah, so like the kind of idea that we are prosperous and we do have good things, and we need to be humble and, you know, not be consumed by that. Whereas we forget that most of the world, that's quite alien to most of the world. Do you know what I mean? And because Western theologians are so prominent in the world of theology, but like we're like the 1% of the world who have roofs over their head, food, water, and stuff like that. Just saying to people in third world countries that you need to be humble and not get caught up in what you have is quite an alien concept. What do you mean get caught up with what I have? Do you know what I mean? And that's really interesting. And I think you kind of just blew my mind, because that's a really good point. Really interesting.
Because when you think about it, because do you know what's crazy? Like, I used to wrestle with that, bro. Like in terms of when I first started learning about the theology of suffering, kind of thing, in the sense of saying, or the theology of anti-prosperity. When I was first introduced to it, it was like, oh yeah, no, this is right. And obviously it was right in the sense that, like, I've kind of grown up here in England, so yeah, sure, I have that perspective, but like I wrestled with it in the sense that my parents like always were pushing me to say, you need to like have a successful job, or you need to go and get that role, etc. So I felt that pressure, and in the sense that, like, their pressure came from the fact that they had hustled and struggled. My parents came from Nigeria. Do you know what I'm saying? Came and like firstly moved to Italy, and then moved here. And so it was like their driving force was like completely different. So for them, it was kind of, you know, there was this sense of you dare not kind of like fail in life, in a, you know, whatever that means. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there was that heavy pressure, and for me, it's like, so when I listen to theology, you know, theology like that, that's like, you know, anti-prosperity. Whilst it's fundamentally, I'll say it's correct, and I kind of believe it. There's a sense in which, but that's really high and mighty. That's rich coming from you, kind of thing. You know, from the theologians who preach it, because it's kind of, it was a sense of, you know, that's easy. That's really easy for you to say.
Yeah,
it's really easy for you to like. You know,
and I do find it interesting that a lot of theologians who say that kind of living in very nice suburban areas and nice houses.
Yeah, funny enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's quite an irony there.
As time went on. Yeah, exactly. I found that time went on. So.
And I think that bugged me a lot when I found out like what they said compared to how they actually lived, and you were just like, oh, that's interesting. But I think like for me, I think absolutely your life shouldn't be consumed with the pursuit of riches and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
However, I think in terms of whereas poverty and poverty elimination is concerned, you do want to see generational and local prosperity, especially in areas that wealth, especially in areas that are deprived, and like I don't think in places that are deprived we should be saying stay like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, you don't want people living in poverty. Oh no, we forgot the storm again. We kind of see poverty as this thing of a blessing. Yeah. Because I think there's this weird image of poverty in Christianity of you live in a nice little humble home, and you kind of have a nice little humble job, and you know you may struggle month to month getting by, but there's a kind of like it's almost romanticized. Poverty is almost romanticized, especially by Western Christians, whereas poverty is horrible. It's a horrible thing. Like it's not just like you have enough to get by. Poverty is you don't have enough to get by. And you're suffering. You're going hungry. You're going cold in the winter. Your kids are suffering. Your mental health is worse for wear. Your children's mental health is affected. That can lead to health problems down the line, like major stress and trauma. Poverty isn't a good thing, and I don't think. It's not something that people should aspire to for some spiritual reason. Do you know what I mean? And I understand of just like having what you need, but that isn't what poverty is.
No, and I think that's where people misconstrue it as well, isn't it?
I think Christians should strive to get people out of poverty. And I don't think you should say to someone in poverty, well, you should stay there. Bless you. You're in a very great place. Oh, thanks, man. I'm going to die anyway. It's cool. Thanks for the effort. Oh, you got my reboot card? Oh, don't die. It's cool, man. Oh, you're just going to ignore my reboot card. That's fine.
Oh, my bad.
Save yourself. That's fine.
Oh, man.
That is absolutely fine.
I'm going to die. I'm definitely going to die still.
Now you can make it, man.
I am definitely going to die.
Ignore me. No, just forget it, man. It's too much effort. You can't get up the hill. Just go.
Oh my gosh. No,
just go, man. Just go. You can make it. You can make it. You've even got Chug Splash.
You can make it if you try.
A reboot station as well.
Jump through. Yes,
Save me, man. Save me.
Come on. Meters,
So, I guess to kind of finish off, like, what do you think the church can do to improve the situation? Like, I think there's still a long way to go. A lot of churches have recognised it, and I kind of like. I mean, there's still a long way to go with convincing others Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like for the churches who have recognised it and who might be saying, I recognise it, but I have no idea. I don't know the first thing of going about how to change it.
Yeah, what to do. Yeah. I think firstly, I don't have the answers.
What? What's the point? Alright, I'm stopping this interview right now.
Yeah.
Oh no! Get out here. Right, let's just watch this guy and see if he wins.
Oh, man, that's a hard question, man. Because I think a big part of it is a heart issue. So what we're trying to do is make people change their hearts, which obviously the gospel does, or only the gospel can really, really do. But like, in terms of actual steps, I think that for me the biggest thing, it starts from the pulpit, from the preaching. Like, you know, in the same way, and I mean that in the same way that, like, what's the scripture? You know, that hearing comes from the word. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's the idea that people have to hear it being drummed into them, and it being said that, hold on, this is what we need to be doing. By the way, you know, don't forget, like, you know, this is what we need to be doing. And so a big part of it is saying, for example, when it comes to talking about sin, for example, in churches, people want to talk about sin. Let's not be afraid to say, oh, and racism, which is sin. You know what I'm saying? Because I think like there's almost like a big reluctance to want to say the word racism when people talk about sin. Like we can talk about, like, you know, lust and like greed and like you know, all those other things, and very rarely do you hear people include the word racism in that list of sins whenever they're talking about it. Whenever we're talking about sanctification, or whenever we're talking about those kind of things, or whenever we're giving examples of, like, you know, analogies in preaching. Like, very rarely do people use analogies relating to racism. You know, as the preach, and I think that's part of the problem is, like, what you then do is create this, like, atmosphere or this narrative or this idea in people's heads that actually race isn't an issue that I should be worrying about. Do you know what I'm saying? But when you're telling people, no, you should be worried about this issue. Like, your heart does have an issue there. You know what I'm saying? Like, once that is a regular thing in preaching, in all preaching, like, and we're saying it as a thing, then people can actually be more conscious of it in their week. Do you know what I'm saying? They can actually say, yeah, actually that is an issue. So they can actually feel a sense of conviction, which obviously the Spirit will bring, but the Spirit brings it because you're hearing it, or you're reading it in Scripture. You know what I'm saying? You're reading the idea that God has actually made everyone in His image, and so we're image bearers. And so, like, when you're going into your week and you're cracking on with work or whatever, you're actually thinking in your life, like, oh my gosh, that's not what I want to be doing. I don't want to be racist, or even more, you're like seeing injustice towards, you know, someone of another race. You're like, oh wow, you know, like, I'm thinking back on what pastor was saying or whatever, or like, you know what I'm saying, or the preacher was saying, and I'm actually thinking of, right, okay, in this situation, I need to do something about it. Whereas I think for the longest time, people could just go on and just not care because it wasn't in their face. And so when they came to church on Sunday, they could feel like we could talk about sin in this abstract way. You know what I'm saying, and feel like, oh my gosh, you know, that really rocked me. Oh, that really rocked me. You know what I'm saying? But it felt like this thing that was applicable to everyone else out there and not you. You know what I'm saying? And not you in your heart. So I think that's a big place to start, is actually, like, on the pulpit, like, pastors are literally, like, bringing it up and saying it as part of the issues. I think that would be a big thing, because that ultimately will rock people's hearts, and then hopefully that then filters down into what people actually do. You know, how people who are, you know, how your regular Christian who sits at the back, who's like a massive director in a company somewhere, like, then thinks about recruitment. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that. So,
I find it really interesting with something with the pulpit, in that there's a strange mentality among Western Christian churches, and I can only say that because I've only experienced Western Christian churches. An emphasis on sin in you, whereas there's never any mention of societal sin.
Yes.
But if there is, it's usually on issues like abortion, or everybody loves sex too much, or do you know what I mean? But again, to contradict that, you do hear a lot of pastors say about societal ills and woes and sin and stuff. But then things like poverty and racism, I rarely get talked about. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's strange. It's just like, oh, Hollywood has an obsession of sex and it's ruining society. Like, that's kind of the extent you'll hear about societal issues. And the rest is kind of like, you need to deal with lying in your life. You need to deal with this in your life and this in your life. But yeah, it's odd. It's so odd.
Yeah, man.
And there's like a contradiction of like, you as a Christian shouldn't be getting into these politics of poverty and racism and stuff, when those same people get into politics for like abortion.
I think it's ultimately like this. I mean, a hint of hypocrisy, obviously, but a big part of it is like, it's just selfishness. And I say selfishness in the sense that like, it's what suits us. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think it's difficult sometimes for a lot of preachers to probably admit it. It's like, you preach from your experience ultimately, and so you preach from a place, from a bit of a place of privilege to some extent. In terms of, I'm not just talking about just white privilege, but I mean privilege to whatever your situation is. Do you know what I'm saying? You preach from that end of saying, oh, you know, I'm over this issue, so I preach over that issue. There's a big sense in which, you know, preachers preach that, and I guess another important thing to combat that is like diversity in preaching, and I don't mean it just in the sense of having a black person preach whatever, because we have that, but a diversity of situation, you know, diversity of thought in preaching. And I guess the difficulty with that is then, you know, I guess there's ultimately always going to be differences between people and theology and stuff like that. And so that's why you don't. Sometimes you have like, you know, preachers in churches who just are kind of copying each other, or like almost like carbon copies in terms of what they're saying. Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's better to actually have someone who does have, you know, perhaps a secondary issue disagreement with, you know, on some issues of theology, because what you then get is sometimes a different emphasis, like a different emphasis in preaching, and I think that's really important. That you will have someone who actually is a lot more concerned about poverty than someone else. And I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. That some people have more slants than others to like, you know, to particular issues compared to others. Because I think that's what's going to happen. Because you know what I'm saying, like, because it's so, you know, how we speak, how we act is so charged by our experience. So you're ultimately always going to have like different slants from other people. But I think it's just knowing that we need those different slants. So
it's good.
It's just hoping that we don't have like a complete lack of any talk about poverty. That is, you know what I'm saying, and dealing with that. And you know, for example, the issue of money management. You know, like I'd love to have a lot more, you know, more preachers who would speak about money management from the point of not just saying like, you know, this is just so you can shine and be like or whatever, and have victory, but not in that sense, but in a sense like, like
just being wise.
The Bible, just be wise. Like, you understand the Bible tells you to look after your family, and like it tells you that, you know, the man who doesn't provide for his home is like, you know, almost unworthy kind of thing, you know, or is in sin. We understand that these are biblical principles, and it's like if someone could, you know, give some thought to them, proper thought, and actually teach them in the sense of saying, like, actually, like, you should care about work, You know what I'm saying? You should care about wanting to work for the sake of, you know, like the family, for the sake of sustaining the family, for the sake of the fact that God has taught us to work. And, like people having those kind of like good emphasis in that sense. You know, like it'd be good to have a lot more. I'm not saying there isn't that. There definitely is people who are already trying to do that, but they're definitely few and far between. So, man.
Oh man. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us and taking time of your busy solicitor daredevil life and talking to us about these things. Before we go, is there anything you want to plug?
Nah, man. Just that I'm a solicitor.
You want to plug your firm? Plug your firm.
My Twitter.
If you need any property advice.
They gotta pay me for that, fam. Nah, come to me directly still. Come to me directly.
Freelance.
Freelance. Nah, jokes aside, like if people are after any legal help, genuinely come to me. Like if you want to know where I'm at, you can probably see it on my Twitter handle, because I don't mind. It's on my Twitter handle. And, so, and also my LinkedIn, so you can.
Oh, man's got a LinkedIn page, you know?
Yeah, so that's David Sodimu, my LinkedIn. And my Twitter handle is David Seller, so @David Seller. Yeah, man. Yeah.
My guy.
Chat me if you need anything in that respect. Yeah, man.
Awesome. Thanks again, man. This has been the 4th episode of the show. I can't think of a name. I really need to think of a name. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye. Hi, thanks for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. We're a Salvation Army Youth Centre based in Aston, Birmingham in the UK. We run a whole range of different services and programs for young people, including after school clubs and drop-ins, sports coaching, mentoring, school holiday projects, as well as nationally accredited qualifications in various art forms, including music production, digital art, illustration, comic creation and loads more. If you'd like to find out more about us, do follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Aston_614, and we're also on Facebook. Thanks for watching, take care.